Well, Walter Cannon, I would regard as one of the really the pioneers. He and Jarvis Boone had a vision. They had a vision that Sugarloaf could return to its initial original mission of 2 centuries before of being a service area, and they were great communicators. They loved to talk. They were both extroverted people and very friendly and outgoing and full of ideas all the time for Sugarloaf's future. And so they infused Sugarloaf with a new spirit. And they being young, they being at that time in their early 30s, began to attract young people here. It was partly for real estate purposes, but there are other reasons too. And that Walter started out being an athletics director at a major university on Long Island, and he developed a terrible gastrointestinal problem that hemorrhaged, and he almost died. He was in intensive care in a hospital out in Long Island, and they administered last rites one night because they didn't think he was going to make it through the night. And he miraculously recovered, but he said, I have to get into something else. And his wife was of German descent. They had come here as immigrants after the Second World War. They settled here. There was a growing, very active small German community that was buying up properties around here. And her family had some land in Sugarloaf. She said, Sugarloaf is so quiet. There's no stress out there. It's a sleepy little village. So that was what really attracted Walter to Sugarloaf. It was like therapy. It was like recovering from a near-death situation. And boy, did he recover. I mean, he came up here. He bought the old general store from the Conklin family that operated it for generations here. And he started this barn siding business and began taking down barns. He attracted a lot of people, including me and my wife. Me, the college professor, wanting to get out of the city and coming back to my roots in this case, because we had a farm here. And it was really parties where we would sit down for dinner with Walter and Jarvis around the table, and they would just talk up a storm about the magic of Sugarloaf. And this place is going to go places if we get behind this project of ours. Well, yeah. Well, they were able to bring most of them recent college graduates. They're well-educated young people. Locals initially called them as hippies. They were hippies. They won't last. They don't even have the money to develop a business here or anything. But they could afford to start a business, and that was the movement across America. We often say that Sugarloaf is more than just a physical community. It's an attitude. It's a spirit. And anyone can become a sugar loafer here. You don't have to live here, have a business here, but you have to catch the spirit here. And these young people were entrepreneurs. They had dreams. So one can say that this became a village of dreams, of vision, of looking forward, looking into the future, and a simple life. Some of them actually came from fairly wealthy families, but they didn't want, they wanted to get away from that. They wanted to just have a very easy, simple, stress-free life, and Sugarloaf became attractive. Yes, and then Walter would go around and offer inexpensive rents, and many older people. Sugarloaf was becoming a community of older people. Children had moved out. Elderly people were living in these houses, and they could hardly afford to keep the houses up, so they were in bad condition. And so the prices were right. As I said, you could pick up a house here for a ridiculously small amount of money. And if you were clever, you could restore it yourself. A lot of these craftspeople here took these buildings and learned carpentry and made the renovations themselves. Walter Cannon remained here throughout the rest of his life. He died living here in Sugarloaf. He started a restaurant called the Barn Cider in the 1980s, which was very successful in the old Conklin General Store that he had bought and converted. And he was a perfect person because he loved people, loved to talk, loved to tell stories. This was a community of storytellers too, and people loved to go to the barn cider and sit there and hear Walter Kannon talk about a whole variety of things. Jarvis came from the Ozarks, and he came to Belleville, but he met Walter Kannon, and I think actually the first meeting was in my brother's house on the farm just outside of Sugar Loaf, because I was there at the time when the two of them were being introduced to each other in 1966, I guess it was. And Walter started talking about Sugar Loaf, and and he said that really has more of a future for what you and I are talking about for craftspeople than Belleville. But Jarvis was becoming already a well-known wood carver, furniture maker, and so forth. And he started a business here. Jarvis Boone bought one of these little houses here, uh, and um, and started the business. And the family lived upstairs. And that became a tradition too. Many of the craftspeople worked on the first floor and raised their families on the second, and in a few cases the third floor.
And that kind of environment, I think, lends a lot to a community, the mixed residential working environment. And we've lost that in most of our modern development, where our work is so separate from our residential life. Jarvis loved to sing.
And Jarvis would come over here and join with the church and have singing Christmas carols and the Santa Claus and so forth, bringing the old timers, the old timers, with this new group. And little by little, the craftspeople and the old timers began to see that they had common interests and common dreams and common experiences.
But he opened, I guess, rented a place right next to the 1915 era railroad station, and had singing waiters and waitresses. Bill's Opera House.
Yeah, this is Main Street, Chester Village.
Yeah, in the former Brooks wagon manufactory. He was a great promoter and a real character. But it's really great to see the ebb and flow. A place is vibrant with craftsmen serving local farmers. Then as the farmers start to decline, the place kind of withers, and then comes Walter, redevelops revitalizes the community as a artisan community, and then it kind of withers and then comes back again.